Hey, what's up? It's Comic95, the Savior, and for this video, I wanted to give you ladies some advice about dating here in Japan. This video also goes for men. It is not exclusive for women, so we're going to also speak to the opposite sex, meaning that if you are dating a Japanese girl, the same rule applies. So I guess I should say that dating a Japanese person, period. This is very important advice for you. I talked about this inside of my video, talking about, signs that you're dating a Japanese F-boy or that you're being played, etc. And this is something that I feel like needs a standalone video because I see this happen so often. I've had friends ask me about this. I've seen it inside of forums. I've seen it in groups, and I really just want to make a video answering this question. And not really answering this question, but commenting on this topic, because I don't see people really asking this as a question of concern, but rather see them making the mistake of not realizing this was a huge red flag. If you are dating, I'm going to say Japanese guy because I'm a straight woman, okay? And let me backtrack a little bit. Let me give you my credentials. I've been in Japan for nearly a decade as of the creation of this video. I came here as a tourist. I went to university here. I worked here. I've lived in several different cities. I've dated countless men. I've slept with countless men too, but we're not going to talk about that. That's not the purpose in this video. I am a married woman. My husband is Japanese. My children are half Japanese. I understand everything. Okay, I'm speaking to you from personal experience. I'm not on my high horse. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm better than you. I'm telling you this because I know better. And I'm also very surprised because I see people that are much older than me. People that are in their 30s and their 40s, and probably seen somebody in their 50s before. But I've seen older women have these same issues, and they don't seem to understand that this is Japanese for I don't like you, I'm not interested. And to be honest, I feel like the same thing reigns true for in the US as well. But back on subject. That is, a Japanese guy cancels the date with you. If you are ever dating a Japanese person and they decide, I'm going to make other videos like today answering other questions, but if you're ever dating a Japanese person, male, female, I don't care how old you are, I don't care if they're in school, I don't care if they're a salaryman, a career woman, I don't care if they're sick, they will never cancel a date. Ever. Definitely not the first date. I would argue the first 3 dates never get canceled. If they are canceled for any reason, I don't care if he tells you his mother is dying of cancer. If he cancels a date for any of those reasons, for any of those 3 dates, for any reason, he's not serious about you. Same thing goes for women. She's not serious about you. Japanese people are professional liars. This does not sound right. It's not politically correct to say, but this is not a sensitive snowflake video. I'm giving you real talk advice. They're not, gonna tell you the truth. They're gonna lie to you. They will never flat out say, sorry, I'm not interested, I don't like you, you're ugly, or I found out you weren't gonna have sex with me, or I found a guy that's gonna take me out to a nicer restaurant. Instead, they're gonna make up excuses until you get the hint that they don't like you, they don't want to see you for whatever reason. Second, not just that, it might not even necessarily be the case that they don't want to see you per se, but rather they got what they wanted from you already. So maybe they went on the first date with you, but you already slept with them. They don't want to make this a long-term thing. They don't want to have date number 2. Or they talk to you on the phone and they recognize, yeah, she's looking for something serious, I don't want that. Or, yeah, he's trying to get me to sponsor his visa, I'm not about to do that. Whatever the case happens to be. They don't like your voice. They don't like your personality. They think you're weird. Maybe you don't speak Japanese well enough. Maybe they're afraid their English isn't good enough. And to be honest with you, the language thing is normally a BS excuse. But for very rare exceptions, it is a legitimate reason for some people. I'll be honest with you. They don't care about your English ability or your Japanese ability. I have literally gone on dates where we literally sat back and forth and texted each other on our phone to communicate. And it worked out. In fact, my first date with my husband went that way. I didn't even know that he could speak a lick of English. We could barely hear each other. The table was so fucking big. And then later on I found I was like, oh, like you actually can speak English. And you did understand what I was saying. Because I was thinking like, is my Japanese that bad? But anyway, back on subject. Yes, it is an excuse. They want to get out of the date. And see, normally a Japanese person won't take the hint and the fact that you cancel the date, especially if it's last minute and suddenly. Last minute by Japanese standards is canceling a date typically within 72 hours before it's supposed to take place. If they're canceling the date the day of, hours before, yeah, definitely. They're trying to make you not like them anymore. And the way that this goes is like this. It's an unwritten rule. But in Japan, this goes for work or dating, like any situation, work, dating, friends, anything like that. If people don't want to be at fault, they try to make you do the dirty work for them. So for example, the guy that you're dating decides that he doesn't want to date you anymore, right? Instead of him being like, you know what, I'm sorry, I fell out of love with you, I don't like you anymore, it's much easier to make you fall out of love with him. So what is he going to do? He's not going to give you a gift for White Day. He's going to forget your birthday. He's not going to, I don't know, pay for the food. He's going to forget his wallet. He's going to suddenly be late for things all of a sudden. They're trying to do things to make you decide that you don't like them anymore. So that this way they don't have to live with the burden of they broke up with you. They can say, oh yeah, I had an ex-girlfriend, but she broke up with me. And you're taking the bait. Now, of course, do end the relationship, but don't waste your time. And I'll make another video talking about that, but they don't need to hear your whole filler story of, well, that's okay, F you. I don't need an F-boy anyway. You're just proving that you're crazy to him. Block him and move on. Same thing goes for a girl. Block her and move on. By you telling them that it's over when they already decided that it's over, by you trying to get revenge, by you writing them a whole paragraph, all you're doing is feeding their ego. I used to do the same thing. You're wasting your time. For starts, they will probably never read it. And 2, if they do ever read it, they're not going to reply back to it. And 3, if they do, you did nothing but stroke the nigga ego and suck his dick with the comment that you just left. And not the comment, you know what I mean? Well, shoot, maybe that too. With, the text message or the email that you sent him or the phone call that you made or the voicemail that you left. You're wasting your time. They've already decided they don't want you, don't like you. So, all I have to say is this. Japanese people are very punctual. They take dates very seriously. They would rather show up late than to not show up at all. The fact that they're not just showing up late, but the fact that they're canceling the date and doing it last minute, again, last minute being within 72 hours, that is a huge, massive red flag. They would never get somebody that they truly like. I know they're going to hit you with the excuse, oh, I'm a salary man, I was working so hard, oh, my finals, my exams. Guys, I went to college in Japan. I promise you, they don't work nearly as hard as you guys think they do. In fact, I wouldn't even argue, I know for a fact, because I've been to both. Americans, believe it or not, fuck the stereotypes. We actually work harder both at work, I know, mind-blowing, and at university. If you actually follow a salaryman around and see what they do at work, they're not doing shit. Their job is, think about it. You ever worked at Walgreens before? And maybe you worked a slower store, okay? I used to work at Walgreens. And the Walgreens that I worked at, it was only busy when it was close to holidays. So for example, the whole Christmas season. So as soon as Thanksgiving is done, up until a little bit after New Year. Then we had a little burst of, traffic for, Easter and Valentine's Day. And that's pretty much it. Basically, if it's not a holiday, it's not busy. Same thing goes for Halloween. I would say the week of Halloween, maybe a couple of weeks before, it's a little bit busier. But that's pretty much it. Walgreens is not the location that I worked at in particular. I was working in the suburbs of Chicago. But long story short, yes, if you're working at a job that's not very busy, what do they make you do? Stay looking busy. So, you have to zone and face stuff, etc. And it's I would literally get to the point where I'm done facing everything because the store wasn't very busy. And keeping it real, it wasn't a ghetto neighborhood either. It was a racist white one. And so, people didn't normally fuck everything up. So long story short, there wasn't much to fix. And so when you finish all your work, your manager would get mad at you find something to do, stay busy. They'll have you dusting and shit and vacuuming. They'll find something to do to keep you busy. And so with that said, Japanese people do the exact same thing. The goal is to look busy at work, not to actually work hard. Now don't get me wrong, do some jobs, and I do mean some jobs, very few of them, will require you to stay overtime, work extra hours. But the reality is, if you live here in Japan, you see that everybody is going home at the same time, and everybody's starting work at the same time. Rush hour is typically, I would say the trains are busiest between about 7 to 7:30 a.m. until just after 9 a.m. So about 9:30 a.m. I'd even argue at 9 a.m. on the dot. You can see a significant, whatever you want to call it, downflow or layoff, or whatever you want to call it, of the amount of people that are getting on the train. Same thing goes from the evening. From about 5:30 p.m., I'd even argue 5 p.m. From 5 p.m. until about 8 p.m. is when you see everybody going home. These stupid documentaries that you see on YouTube, and I get it, even Japanese people make videos about such shit, they're literally liking it because it feeds their ego, where they're hard workers and they're so polite and they're so clean. If you live in Japan, you know that all of this stuff is bullshit. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, there's going to be that one token guy that does that. But the reality is, the vast majority of people are not working long, hard hours. Whereas in the US, normally if you're staying late at work, you're actually doing shit. In Japan, they will I'm not even lying to you guys, I've dated people like this. They will literally sit on the toilet playing mobile games just to physically be at work. Or they'll be at work, clicking around on their computer, dating people on Tinder, doing God knows what else. And look, there's a reason why Tinder has that little fake section where you can put it up and make it look like you're doing busy work, okay? They do stuff like that. I promise you, your partner is not so busy they don't have time for you. That same college guy that you're dating that's so busy with finals, I promise you, he's not turning down going to the izakaya, fucking girls at the club, and hanging out with his friends after school. It's an excuse. He simply doesn't want to make time for you because you're not important to him. And think about it. If he knows you're going to be sitting there like a good doggy waiting on your biscuits and wagging your tail for him, why the fuck would he give up his plans? But he can just rearrange things with you because your dumb ass is so stupid. Sorry, I'm talking to you blunt. You're not only going to let him cancel on you, you're going to rearrange it for him. And that's the second part that I wanted to get into. Never, ever tell the guy when you're available. That is stupid. If a guy cancels a date on you, you let it go. Don't say, oh, well, I understand. Well, I'm available Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday next. No. Don't do that. Don't. Two things. One, you're not taking the hint that he's trying to give you. He's telling you, look, bitch, I don't like you. I don't want to see you again. Two, not or ever if you guys have never met. And two, you're also showing him that he can use you because what he's doing is flat out disrespectful. He would not be able to get away with that with a Japanese girl. But he knows that you would take, you'll take the bait. You're willing to reschedule. You're so desperate. You're so thirsty for his dick. You will allow him to reschedule that date with you. And you will oftentimes find they're not ever going to say, oh, okay, well, let's do Thursday. Instead, what they will normally do, don't get me wrong, just because he says, oh, Thursday's great, does not mean he's not an F-boy. I said normally. Both scenarios are F-boys. Let me make that very clear. What they would normally do is they will be like, okay, well, yeah, I'm available on Thursday at 8 p.m. or whatever. And they'll probably cancel that date too. Or they will go to that date. But now they know, oh, okay, this is my backup pussy. They know that if their plans don't work out with another girl that they're trying to see, they can see you. And that's another thing too. See, when you allow a guy to bump you off the schedule, he knows that, okay, I can see this girl that looks a million times better than her. And then when I'm done with her, then I can go see her afterwards. They're replacing you with somebody that they found that looks better, that talks better. And I don't mean talk better as in language-wise. I mean, maybe your voice sounds like shit. And he's like, I want to meet that girl.
Let me also add one more thing that people don't seem to think about, but a lot of the times when you're making a reservation, they're oftentimes putting their card on hold, and especially if they're claiming that they have to cancel at the last minute, you know that they're not telling the truth. Because for most of them, even if they had a reason to not like you, they would still go ahead with the date just because they already paid for it. Because a lot of the times the reservations that are made here, especially like at nicer restaurants, if you cancel too last minute, meaning the day of, they will charge you a cancellation fee, which can oftentimes be the cost of the meal, or at least, thousands of yen, whether it be 10,000 yen, 50,000, 5,000 yen, whatever, and they're not going to want to do that. Now, granted, not all reservations do require you to pay an amount for a cancellation fee, but generally speaking, it's bad manners to cancel at the last minute. Japanese women also recognize this, and so even if they didn't like you at this point, they would still go on that date with you just out of sympathy. So you could see it two different ways. On one hand, it's a good thing that they're, not wasting your time and money, and that they are canceling the date rather than, going knowing that they don't like you. But at the same time, this shows how little they care or regard you if they're not even going to bother to give you proper notice and if they're going to cancel within 24 to 72 hours of the date because they don't care about you being charged a cancellation fee. They don't care about you already making plans and possibly canceling plans with other people. They're showing how little they regard you and your time. And same thing goes to you as a woman. Japanese men know what you put into to go on these dates. They know that you're dressing up. They know you're wearing the makeup. They know all of that stuff already, but they don't care. That is a huge red flag that the person that you're dating does not respect you, does not care about you, and you're simply on an infinite roster. And I want to make it very clear to you that, I feel like there's a lot of mixed conversation about this. Roster dating has different meanings, and I'll make another video about that. I think most people that do this, when they say that, I won't say most people that do this when they say that, but two different types of people make content about this. On one hand, roster dating, which is what most people think of, is people are literally getting the best of both worlds. You're dating a bunch of people, getting free meals, getting gifts, etc. But the reality is, this is more so a way for girls to not waste their time dating just one person that ends up not wanting marriage, doesn't want a long-term relationship, and is just looking for sex. So do understand that even if you are, having a whole roster dating, whatever type thing going on, there's still a proper way that you go on dates with people in which you're not wasting their time. For example, first come, first serve. Somebody arranges a date for you on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. You don't cancel the date with them at 7 because a cuter guy decided to make a date with you, unless you are playing F-girl games and you're not serious. So men, I do want to warn you, a lot of girls here, like with any other country, but we're talking about Japan, so we're not going to be politically correct here. A lot of Japanese women have no problem with accepting free meals from people that they're not attracted to, which is why you do have, I can understand men's perspective to a certain degree, but a lot of men don't seem to understand that we have the same problem as women. So I do understand the hesitancy to pay for dates because you're worried that she's just using you for the free meal, but also understand that for us, a lot of guys, the reason why they want to go to cafes and do cheap, simple dates is because they don't want to date you seriously. They're just looking for sex. So anyway, not to mention, as a woman, I made a video about this already. We're still expected to dress up, wear nice hair, wear our heels and etc. Like, we still have to go all out on our appearance as though we went to a five-star restaurant. You are not going to care that we're going to a cheap-ass cafe. I can't show up on our first date with no makeup on and my hair all over my head like how I do in my journal videos. I have to actually look presentable. So it's kind of unfair to expect for us to be okay with cheap dates. But do understand that there's pros and cons. Most attractive women, especially younger women, are going to turn down a cafe date. I'm no 10, but even I turn down cafe dates. And with that said, you will find that a lot of the women that you wanted to meet, they may actually be wonderful people, but their guard is up and they're not going to accept anything less than a nice restaurant. So if you don't want to pay for that, I'm not going to try to sell you on the dream. Just understand you are immediately writing off a lot of women that you could have dated if you took them to a nicer place. Not to mention, I said this before, but when you take a girl to a nicer restaurant, our guard is, our bar for what we consider as dateable lowers. For example, now instead of you judging him, you're feeling more self-conscious about yourself and trying to keep yourself being appealing and attractive to the man you're on a date with. Whereas if you take me to Starbucks, for example, and that's the nicer cafe, but some little rinky-dink Japanese cafe for a first date, I'm more so focused on you. I'm more so focused on questions that I have about you, and not in a good way. I'm going to be very judgmental. So, and women will never say this to you, but I'm telling you bluntly, that is how most of us feel. Likewise, the man that takes you on the cafe date, men, be honest with yourselves, you know it's true. You are not going to care that we went out to a cheap cafe. You're going to be looking at me and comparing how I look to the girl that you took to the five-star restaurant. And even although I may not be trying to look my best because we're going to a cheap date, you're not going to have any mercy on me. You're going to judge me as though you took me out to a five-star restaurant. So it still goes the exact same way in reverse. So anyway, not going to sell you on that. I'm just explaining that, that is something to keep in mind. And then also understand that for most Japanese women, they're very grateful that you're taking them on a formal date because nowadays there are a lot more guys that want to do cafe dates. So she's willing to turn down a restaurant date last minute. She really doesn't like you because even if she didn't, like you that much, she would still at least go because, it's a free meal. But the fact that she's okay with saying no to that, yeah, this is very easy for you as a man. Now, granted, there are the one-off scenarios where there truly is an emergency, something really did come up last minute, but 9 times out of 10, they're just canceling the date because either one, they don't really like you and they're trying to ghost you, or two, they had a better date offered to them and they'd rather go on that date than yours. For example, I'm going to be honest, I've been guilty of this before. If a guy was taking me to a cafe at 5 o'clock and another guy was like, hey, let's go to this 4-star restaurant at 5 o'clock, where do you think I'm about to go? Of course I'm going to cancel your little cafe date at Dome Tour. Like, that's common sense. So guys are going to get mad, but I'm just being honest with you. Think about it from your perspective as an employee. If a job offers you a contract where you're going to make 500,000 yen per month, you may like the idea of that, right? But then if another job offers you more vacation time, shorter work hours, and 800,000 yen per month, you're not going to hesitate to choose that 800,000 yen per month job. You're not going to have to think twice about it. You might feel a little bad because you did appreciate the job offer, but this is even better. So it's the same way from a female perspective. So not excusing the behavior 100%, but I'm just saying you do have to see from both sides. Anytime a date is being canceled, it's because they simply do not care about you. Because if they really liked you, even although the date with the other person sounds more appealing, they are going to be willing to have a lesser date with you just because they like your personality or find you more physically attractive. For example, the first date that I had with my husband was actually not the best first date that I've been on. Being honest, I love him, and it has a special place of memory for me because when I first met my now husband. But I've been on more expensive dates. I've eaten better yakiniku. I did not honestly like that restaurant. Just being honest, it was okay, but it was nothing fancy for me. So again, because I liked him, though, I was willing to go on that date. So anyway, back on subject. It's a huge red flag if they're willing to cancel a date they know you made reservations for. There's no going back on that. Because even if they had to show up late to it, they would make sure they get there. And the fact that they're okay with just completely canceling it and they're giving you, especially if it's less than 24 hours notice. But honestly, anything within a 3-day range is too short. They should be notifying you at least 5 days. Sorry, ambulance. At least 5 days, if not a full solid week in advance. So don't let them fool you and play you. Like, just like how you hear those sirens outside, there should be sirens going off inside of your head if somebody's canceling a reserved date, especially if you're a man and you're paying for the woman. There's no way that, she's canceling that because, whatever crap reason she gave. She simply doesn't like you. And if she does, the least she would do is reschedule the date. But honestly, even then, you should be really careful about that because generally speaking, they do not try to reschedule dates when you're within the first 3 dates that you've gone on. That's normally a red flag for them too. So there's a lot of little rules that you'll learn like this. And again, there's always going to be an exception to the rule, but generally speaking, your guard should be up, and there's a very high chance you're dealing with an F girl or an F boy, somebody that's using you, about to ghost you, or trying to ghost you, etc. So do what you want. I'm not your mother. I'm just trying to help you guys out. And also, again, understand culture-wise, they value time. So the fact that they don't value your time enough to give you proper notice, do you want to be married to somebody like that? You want to date somebody like that? You want to pay for them in the future? No. Move on to somebody else that appreciates the fact that you actually planned a formal date, that you made reservations, and that you're going to pick up the tab. And as a woman, be willing to let that man go and prefer a date with somebody that's actually willing to make reservations, a man of his word that keeps his word, even if he needed to cancel, that goes out of his way to keep the date anyway. My husband has a very stressful job. And when I asked him, hey, can we move the date up to today? He didn't say, well, no, I'm really busy, even though he should have. And he probably would have said that now because my husband's lazy. He's not a morning person. But because he really wanted to meet me, he not only decided to meet me that day, even though he probably didn't want to, but he also made a reservation for it that day. And he kept his word. So, anyway, back to the video.
So, just keeping it real with you, like I said, if he really likes you, he will not cancel the date. First impressions are lasting impressions. And I would argue that in Japan, this part is definitely true. Punctuality is much more important here than in the US. Don't get me wrong, in the US it is important, but I mean, people are extremely anal over the idea of you being seconds late. Now again, at work, yes, the US is the same as Japan. Being late is not acceptable in the US as far as that goes too. But I mean, when it comes to things like dealing with friends and family, etc., your friends and family can get mad at you being late for stuff in the US, but in Japan, it's taken extremely personally, especially for a first date. There is no understanding, no exceptions to that rule. And by them doing that to you, they're showing you how little they respect you. And you accepting that, you're showing him how little you respect yourself. And from their perspective, I hate to say it, but I'm going to keep it real. They think that all foreigners, especially foreign women, that we are just these sex-hungry, promiscuous monsters that just want to fuck everybody. And so from their perspective, they're like, wow, she wants to experience my dick so bad, I can reschedule this date with her. Because a Japanese girl would never. Not to even mention that you guys over here splitting bills with these guys. And again, Japanese girl, never. Now, don't get me wrong, some of them will do it, but being realistic, they know if they're trying to talk to a girl that's really attractive, they know to pay for that date. They're not even going to ask you to. You want to know why? Because they know that if they don't pay for the date, it's not going to leave a good lasting first impression on you. That's the reason why. If he truly likes you, he would never want to jeopardize you not wanting to see him again. And him canceling that date will be him jeopardizing never getting to meet you or never getting to see you again. If a guy leaves early from a date, if he cancels last minute, if he doesn't know when his availability is, I promise you he does not like you. Do not reschedule the date with him. If he truly likes you and truly wants to see you, he will tell you that he wants to see you again and ask you when you are available. And I will be honest with you. If for any reason the first date has to be canceled, I wouldn't let a guy reschedule with me. I've done that before and it has never worked out well for me. Every single time I've rescheduled a date with a Japanese guy, it's always been a fuckboy. Even if he immediately was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not available on Saturday. How about Sunday afternoon? No, because like I said, two things. One, they're rescheduling with you because they're trying to meet somebody else that they think looks better than you. Two, if the person doesn't necessarily look better than you, they're willing to have sex with them or they're willing to accept a cheaper date than you are. In other words, fuckboy. And then again, on top of that, they're showing you that you are not priority to them. You are their plan B, C, D, E, F, G to Z. You are not important to this person that you're seeing. Men, this goes for you too. A Japanese girl will not reschedule a date with you. She's not going to suddenly get sick, suddenly have to take care of her parents, suddenly have to go to work. I promise you, they're bullshit excuses. There's going to be somebody that's going to try me and be like, that's not true. I met my husband. Your husband lied to you. I'm sorry to break it down to you. They were fucking somebody else before you. It's just facts. It is. You can, if you want to be that desperate and to get some yellow dick, have fun. Have fun. I ain't your mama. I ain't your sister. I ain't your daughter. I don't give a fuck about you. I'm just trying to give you real advice. If you don't want to listen to it, then I don't know why the hell you're watching this video. But again, just telling you, they will never do that to somebody that they seriously like because they are worried about making a good first impression. Likewise, same thing goes for paying for a date. I'll make another video talking about that. But if they truly like you, they don't want to risk you getting, as you guys call it these days, the ick or whatever the hell, by them not paying for it and you seeing him as not being masculine and him as not being serious or being broke. They are going to try their best to impress you. When my husband went on a date for me, my now husband, then boyfriend, he paid for the date. He figured out what food I like to eat and made reservations immediately. In addition to that, he went to go see me at a time that he would never do that. I can barely get my husband to get out of bed after he's worked a double shift. He not only was staying up too late, which is why he was able to even message me on pairs, but in addition to that, he was okay with us having a date at a time that he would normally be taking a nap. Or wanting to, like, I don't know, watch One Piece or some shit. And so with that said, he made an exception for me because he did not want to have to cancel. And now we didn't even make the plan set in stone yet, but he knew that he wanted to meet me. He knew that he wanted to get to know me. He knew that he wanted to make a good first impression. So what did he do? He decided I would rather get less sleep than miss out on potentially dating this girl. And that's what he did. The guy that you're talking to, he can do the exact same thing. My husband is a fucking doctor. I promise you, there is no amount of work that the guy that you're dating is doing that compares to my husband. If he can make time to date me, your boyfriend, your date, your guy that you're talking to, your situationship, they can make time for you. Same thing goes for you men. I promise you, the average girl here in particular, definitely for women, they are not working them long ass hours that you think they are. They are not studying their heads off, or they're so busy with the exams and they don't have time. I promise you, that's not the case. They're lying to you. Now, if you want to be so thirsty and you want that, spouse visa so bad, look, I ain't in your business. I'm just telling you, if you're looking for true love, you want a partner that really gives a crap about you, don't settle for that. They don't like you. They're showing you that they don't like you. And the best thing you can do is pick up the little bit of dignity and pride that you have left and decide to ghost them. Block them, delete the chat, move on. Don't hear their excuses. Don't deal with them calling you back, messaging back, wait, why did you block me? Did you delete the chat? It doesn't fucking matter. Move on. If they're serious, they would never. Could you picture a Japanese person canceling an interview? They would never do that. Okay, look at it this way. When you're going on a date, that is your first interview. It is your first impression that you are giving to that employer. What you do on that first interview sets the tone. It's the same thing on a first date. If they are showing you that they don't care by the way they dress, by the way they talk, by the time that they arrive, etc. Again, few exceptions exist. They're showing you that they're not serious. Your date being a few minutes late is acceptable. My husband was a few minutes late for the first date. That's fine. But you want to know what he did? He messaged me and he called me and he let me know. He did not wait until like an hour after, oh sorry I'm running late, or 30 minutes after, oh sorry I'm running late. He let me know an hour in advance he was going to be a few minutes late. And that was fine. And he actually showed up and he actually paid for the date. That's very different. Please don't let these guys play you, and please, for the love of God, do not reschedule the date. If he truly likes you, he will do that on his own. If he's just canceling this and, oh, look, I'm sorry, I have to do X, Y, and Z, that shows that he doesn't like you. My husband actually made a video together with me where we talked about this. If the guy immediately plans afterwards, that, again, it depends on the situation. But if you're trying to weed out if the person's serious or not, it always has to be them who plans the date. Again, reschedules it, not you. If you have to ask them, oh, when are you available? Not a good sign. If they truly like you, they will be letting you know that they want to see you and that they're really sorry and that they want to know when you are available. But even then, like I said, take your chances, go ahead at your own risk, being honest in most circumstances. Even if they try to see when you're available, it normally just means they really did want to see you, but this really badass bitch came along right after you, or she had to reschedule her date with him, and so now he's rescheduling with you. You see what I'm trying to say? So ask yourself this: do you want somebody that you're gonna play second fiddle to? Do you want somebody who prioritizes someone else over you? I know it sounds crazy. It's like, well, you're not in a relationship yet. Like I said, I have yet to see a successful relationship out of this. This is my experience, my advice. You're going to live your life and do your own thing. I'm married. I got mine. You trying to get yours. I don't give a fuck about what y'all do. Like I said, I'm just giving you real advice that I give my own child, that I give my own daughter. That is my child, but you know what I mean. That I give my own sister, my own friend, etc. Take it or leave it. You choose to leave it? All right, all good. I'm just telling you what other people will not. I promise you. They understand that them canceling that date is showing that they're not serious about you. They're hoping that you don't understand that. Or they're hoping that you do get it and you leave them the fuck alone, so that this way you're the one that decided not to see them and they can take the pressure off themselves instead of it having to be where they canceled it or they broke up with you. You see what I'm trying to say? So please don't do that. If a Japanese guy really likes you, he will not be rescheduling a date with you. That date will be kept, in stone. You guys decide that you're going to meet at 6 p.m. on Friday night. He will be there at 5:50 p.m. All right? He's not going to message you at 3:30. Oh, sorry. I'm really sick. I have COVID. I can't. Yeah, bullshit. Oh, I'm sorry. My father had a heart attack this morning, so I can't. Lie. Oh, I'm sorry. I had to stay late after work. Can I see you on Saturday at 11 p.m.? Are y'all really that dumb? So, and I get it for you young girlies. Y'all got a lot to learn. I'm gonna keep it real. A lot of y'all just have a fetish for Asian men. You're so desperate and thirsty. You don't care if he has to see you at midnight. You would fucking fly here. But like I said, if you want to be respected, you don't want to get played, you don't want to just be used as a fleshlight, I highly suggest that you reconsider dating that person. Because they clearly don't like you. They're not willing to put in the time, effort, work, energy, and even money to make sure that they are there on time to actually keep their word. Because even if for some reason they really have something come up they need to do on that day, they will still honor the date because they made that date with you. That's Japanese style. The fact that he's willing to cancel your plan does not sound good at all. Because even if you guys, because I know somebody's going to be like, I married a guy that did, for example, I ain't going to say the chick name, I know of a girl who used to brag about the fact how she met her husband at a bar that went to this cheap izakaya, and I'm like, I wouldn't be bragging about that. That just means he didn't think very much of you. He recognized you're fat, you're ugly, you're desperate. You'll be okay with going out to this cheap ass bar. He ain't going to do that with a girl that's a 10 now. He would not. You want to know why? Because she ain't going to date him. But he knew that you would. That's an insult. But like I said, have fun. Like I said, my husband, he dated a girl that was a nurse. I'm studying nursing, but I'm not no damn nurse. He didn't even pay for her date. He took her to a beef bowl shop. And so again, I mean, she doesn't know who I am. But if she knew like what my husband did literally just months after they dated, she'd be pissed off. Now, like most women, I'm sure she caught herself paying, and she even paid for her own food. She probably caught herself, accepting this cheap date and paying for her own food because from her perspective, she's not a gold digger and she's a good girl and she really likes him, etc. I promise you, what they're not doing for you, they will do for the next girl. Just keeping it real. I ain't even asked my husband to take me out for yakiniku. He saw my profile, saw what type of food I liked. Okay, let's go here. Hey, would you like to go to this place? Yeah, sure. Easy. Meanwhile, you're over here rescheduling and begging for dates and, oh, I understand. Okay, well, I'm available this day, and that. Stop. Don't do that, please. You're embarrassing yourself. You're making yourself look stupid and you're showing him that you are easy. Even though you're really just trying to be a kind sweetheart girl, I promise you it's going to waste. I'm not telling you to change yourself and to be a mean and a vicious and a gold digger. I'm not saying to do that. But I am saying that you have to respect yourself enough to not deal with people that don't respect you, don't respect your time, don't respect your presence, and clearly don't give a crap about seeing you and meeting you. Because if they did, they would not want to ruin that first impression with you. That is crucial. Not only being on time, but keeping your word and at least having the date on the day that you said it's supposed to be. And I should also remind you, if a guy's trying to move a date up, that is another sign that he has another date scheduled after you. For example, suddenly he says that he wants to have the date instead of at 7 p.m. He asks, hey, can I see you at 3 p.m. instead? Yeah, bullshit. Two things. One, food is cheaper if you're going at lunch. 2, he likely has another date that's a girl that looks better than you, or a girl that he knows is gonna fuck him, because he might be on date 1 with you, but he's on date 5 with this girl. He knows they're gonna have sex this time. So he'd rather have that 7 o'clock date for her instead of you. Putting you on game. So again, your life, do what you want to do. You're gonna be in the comments like, oh, that's not true. I know this guy I did. 2 claps for you, ho. I don't give a fuck. It's your life. I got my ring. Do you have yours? That's all that matters. If you're okay with a guy being cheap, you're okay with a guy, making you his plan D, and you're that desperate, have fun. Like I said, your life is not mine. You can lie and cap on the internet. Anybody can say that their partner did this and this worked out. And that's another thing too. I know it sounds hypocritical because I'm making my own video. I'm making my own video. But it's like, everybody that tells you information online, that makes videos and talks about how they met their spouse or what their spouse did, not everybody's telling the truth, okay? I'm sorry to break it to you, but the internet is full of lies. Just because somebody says it in the video and it sounds real does not mean that it's true. Anybody could tell you this is how they met their partner. Anybody could tell you that their partner did this and things turned out fine. That does not mean that it's true. And again, just because you got married does not mean that they weren't playing you. You most certainly can marry an F-boy. You most certainly can marry a guy who chose you as their last choice. I literally dated a guy that essentially tried to do that with me. He was so stupid, y'all. Jim Bay. I gotta talk about him again. I did a live stream on this person, and I'll end this video after the story. I dated this guy. He was a certified financial advisor, or whatever. Certified planner, advisor, whatever the fuck you call CPA. He was one of those people, okay? One of those financial advisor type people. And anyway, he was a really nice guy, but he was really stupid. I literally went on the first date with him, and I think it was like, what was it, day 2 or something? He had the audacity to ask me if I was okay with going out for lunch with another girl that he had met through pairs, but he didn't get to have the first date with her because he asked me to be his fucking girlfriend. And I'm like, what? Do you know how awkward and stupid that would be? So I'm gonna go on basically a date with you and someone else who literally I know that you wanted to date, you wanted to marry, you wanted to fucking put your dick inside, and we're gonna pretend like this is your friend. What? And so don't get me wrong, he's not asking for no threesome type shit. No, he was a legitimately dumb. He's one of those like incel looking guys. Okay, I'm gonna keep it real. Look, I'm just keeping it real. And look, he deserves it because he lied to me, and you can watch the live stream and get into all of that stuff. We'll talk about that later. But long story short, the excuse was she's a foreigner and she can't speak Japanese and she didn't really have friends, etc. So she just wanted to have a friend. Right. Out of all the people you could choose to be friends with, you choose a rich nigga from a dating site that's made for marriage. That makes a lot of sense. Not. And I'm thinking to myself, how stupid would I be to accept that? For starts, she needs to let things go because she would only be hurting herself by seeing you in a relationship with somebody else. 2, I couldn't help but measure myself up to her and think to myself, okay, if he likes me, what the fuck does he see in her? 2, not just that, she's clearly fucking lying. What girl would be okay with being friends with somebody they were trying to date and potentially marry? Especially when they never even got to have that first date with that person. And they're seeing that person take good care of somebody else as their boyfriend. Now, I'm sure he probably did reach out to her again. And maybe her desperate ass wanted that visa and she took him back. I don't know. I don't care. I broke those things off. He wanted to marry me. And I talked about that inside that video. But anyway. Back on subject. The reality is, the average person, I'm going to say the average person, any person that is trying to reschedule with you is because they found somebody else. They're considering somebody else. They wanted to date somebody else. They wanted to sleep with somebody else. They will never reschedule with you if they seriously like you. So again, do what you want. I'm done with this video. It's your life. If you have any more questions about dating, marriage, etc. here in Japan, or anything in general dealing with Japan, please feel free to leave a comment down below, or you can send me an email directly. Again, it's your life. I can't control what you do. Do your own thing. I'm just telling you what I personally do. I'm giving you advice based off what I've experienced and what I've seen other people go through. It's not just my own life experience. I've done nothing but read forums, watch videos. I've done nothing but hang out with my coworkers. I know what other people are going through, and I've dated a ton myself. So I'm speaking from personal experience. Do it at your own risk. Like I said, I mean, just because you marry somebody after they did that crap with you does not mean that what I said was not true. You most certainly were their plan C, D, E, F, G. For example, that girl, he might have went on to marry her. But think about it. It not only took him dating me first, he not only dated me, he was willing to brush her to the side and solely just deal with me in order to prove his loyalty to me. And he actually was trying to marry me. I don't mean that like in a fake type of way. I mean legitimately. He had me meet all of his friends. He was talking about, going ring shopping and everything. He had everything in place, all right? The nigga, he paid for my apartment, y'all. And I gave him back the money. I really did his ass a favor. I should have just kept that shit. But anyway, back on subject. Yeah, I could have married him. And so now that things didn't work out with me, now he probably went crawling back to her. Do you want a guy that did that to you? He literally just showed this girl he preferred me over her. If you don't mind, have fun. But I'm just saying, if I were you, I find that disrespectful. Same thing goes for men. If the girl that you're dating is suddenly, oh, hey, like, I'm sorry, but I'm available. Yeah, no. Do you want to be her plan B, C, D, E, F, G? She don't really like you. She just don't want to be single. She don't really like you. She just want to make sure she has something to do on Saturday. Somebody to buy their handbag. Somebody to take her out for steak. You want to be that sucker? Go ahead, by all means. It ain't finna be me, though. So, I'm done. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Like I said, leave a comment down below. Like this video if you haven't already. Please subscribe if you've not already subscribed to my YouTube channel. Please also consider supporting me on Patreon for $5 per month. I have over 150 videos talking about my personal life, dealing with here in Japan, the US, etc. You can get my own thoughts and opinions there. You can also check out my YouTube channel's homepage. I have playlists on everything, such as dating, studying, working, and living here in Japan. I've probably already answered your question there. But if you do have a question that I have not already answered, please consider leaving a comment down below asking your question or send me an email directly, and I will try my best to make a YouTube video in the future answering your questions. And of course, you can also pay me for a consultation if you want personalized advice. I can also do that for you as well. The links for everything in the description box down below. You can also follow me on social media. I have an Instagram and Twitter at Comic95, a Snapchat and TikTok at Comic the Savior, and a Facebook fan page at Comic95 the Savior, and a blog at Comic95.com. So yeah, that's all. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for watching. Good luck with dating, and I hope you watch another video.